Good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome into Morning JOX. JOX 94.5. Damian Mitchell alongside Molly Robinson in for Conrad Van Order. On
Still
this
here?
Yeah, you're still here. You've been grinding. Hey,
I have.
I appreciate you waking up this morning, having some fun with me in the mornings, having some good time with the listeners and everything. It's a Wednesday, and now we have entered the full-blown transfer portal madness. It is crazy in college football right now. We have guys that are entering the portal with teams that are playing for a playoff spot. They are in the playoffs. We've got a couple guys that are hit the portal from some teams in the college football playoff all over college football. Got some coaching changes, some interesting coaching news as far as the North Carolina job. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing that I wanted to discuss this morning. 205-834-9450. Do you think that this Bill Belichick situation is actually going to fall through? Do you think it's going to work? Because one, Mac Brown was what, 74?
73.
73.
Mm-hmm. Bill Belichick is 72.
Right.
Because you're only a year younger than him.
Right. And that's kind of the biggest overarching theme and question mark I have is one, okay, I understand Mac Brown getting up there in age. He knows this college football system. He just seemed to be a player's coach even in his later years. From everything that we know about Bill Belichick and the way he was with the New England Patriots all his career, he's kind of a no-nonsense guy. He's
right.
He's very direct. If you watch the Tom Brady roast, he does have a funny side to him, but he doesn't play around.
See, and that's why I don't know how that will translate into the college landscape, especially, and no offense, but especially at a place like North Carolina.
And I understand kind of the mindset if you're North Carolina. If you see the way college athletics is going, it's very amateur NFL. The way that these guys, I mean, they make business decisions at younger ages. And maybe you're getting ahead of the learning curve of having, all right, well, he knows exactly how the NFL's
been through it. He knows how
at the highest level.
Right.
But I don't know if I just find it difficult to believe that a lot of these college kids, one, I understand if you're just a football savant, I say novice, if you're a football just junkie, you understand that Bill Belichick has won, countless numbers of Super Bowls. He's had Tom Brady as his quarterback. And you hear some of the stories of how Tom Brady says, he treated me like I was, like one of the worst players on the team. He treated me like I was the 53rd man on the roster, which in hindsight, it's kind of good because you at least know what you're getting straight up, that he's not going to give anybody any sort of special treatment.
Right.
But I find it difficult that, Nick Saban was on his way out of college football and Bill Belichick is on his way into college football because of the fact of the landscape of it all. He's under the, I don't know. Like, I find it difficult that it would work. But if you see some of the reports, North Carolina, I mean, they've been meeting with him. He's had a lot of meetings with the administration, former coaches. And I just find it, I question it because of the fact that, one, he's older in age. Can he relate to these younger guys in a way? Because, I mean, when it comes down to it, his resume does stack up rather well because he's been a winner for a long time.
So Mac Brown obviously was the oldest head coach in college football. Well, North Carolina would still be home to the oldest head coach
in college football.
Like, I think the next oldest is like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa.
Yeah.
And he's still in his 60s. But the question that I'm asking, and I guess this is more from like a recruiting standpoint, is let's say, you're an athlete and one of your schools is North Carolina that you're kind of looking at. Does that almost add a level of like intrigue? Like, oh, I could be coached by one of the greatest, kind of like almost like the Nick Saban thing, except it's, it's built, because I know you're probably in the same boat I am, but I grew up as Nick Saban was the guy in college, Bill Belichick was the guy in the professional era. Like, does that come, and again, maybe it's just different with this new generation. But I was just wondering if that, almost added a level of like, you know what? Like, I would get to learn under Bill Belichick. Now, I get what you said. He is a no-nonsense guy. And I don't know how that will translate over to a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds. But those are the things I think about. Yeah,
and I'm with you. I just find it, I just question it because of the fact that he hadn't coached in college football in years. And maybe he's kind of looking at it as, all right, my last swan song is to try to develop these guys and let them understand, okay, well, if you're going to the NFL, this is how it's going to look like. You might as well get get on the front end.
And he's a great guy to learn from.
Oh, absolutely.
In that aspect, yeah.
Because he's done nothing but win everywhere he's gone. And, I mean, you look at what the New England Patriots dynasty has been, you can't tell the story without Bill Belichick, but you also can't tell it without Tom Brady, and I don't think Tom Brady is on that roster for North Carolina. But I think that's going to be something to monitor. Some other coaching news, a name that we're familiar with here in the state of Alabama. How about Chip Lindsey accepting the offensive coordinator job at the University of Michigan? As we know, he was an offensive coordinator entitled there at Auburn, was the Troy head coach for a couple seasons, spent the last 2 years in North Carolina and there at Chapel Hill as their offensive coordinator. So I think for Michigan, you definitely want to have some, a little bit of flavor for your offense, somebody that modernized the game, because we know Michigan has been this ground and pound team for the past couple of years under Sharon Moore, with John Harbaugh there as well. But I think that, Jim Harbaugh. I think that for Chip Lindsey, this is kind of a great landing spot because you're in the Big Ten. You're still kind of getting a chance to coach high-level football. And you get to I genuinely think Sharon Moore is looking at him and saying that this is going to be your offense. This is what you need to do moving forward. And I think that, some of the pieces that they have a great recruiting class coming in this season that the change of scenery is probably going to be the best thing for him. And I think he'll do a good job in Michigan. And I mean, you're sitting there here beating up on your rival in Ohio State. Right. And what better way to say that you're going to have some success if you find a way to knock off Ohio State again
for the fifth year in a row.
Exactly. You want to be a thorn in Ryan Day's side. You can have some fun with that.
I think this is good for Michigan. I mean, this is an offense that's struggled tremendously all year. They've had quarterback issues, and plus you just signed the number 1 quarterback, Bryce Underwood. Yep. So I think this is good for Michigan and for Chip.
Yeah, and I also think that some other coaching news, something that I hadn't got a chance to talk about, but former head coach here at the Auburn University, Brian Harsin, is now the offensive coordinator in Cal. I wish Cal was on the roster. I wish Cal was on the schedule for Auburn next year.
Me too.
That would have been a very interesting game to say the least. But right. I think that for Brian Harsin, taking a couple years off and seeing the troll he was on social media.
He's perfect for the Calgorithm. If you remember all of that, like early on this season, the Cal social media, I was all over it. I thought it was hilarious.
The Calgorithm. I'm unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, the Calgorithm.
Are you talking about like some of the memes and posts and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were very.
And when game day went to Cal,
they were very highbrow.
Signs, I thought they were hilarious.
They are very highbrow. Their humor was one you had to have a little bit of educational level, like
just a little bit.
I like what you did there. 205-834-9450. Your text message, your calls, always welcome here on Morning JOX. We have a few text messages coming in. John takes in and talk about Bill Belichick. He's like, Belichick, unlike Saban, is used to the free agency and salary caps. I think that's where he will fare. That's why he will fare better than Nick Saban. Yeah. And I think that's kind of another avenue of it, too, the business side of college football, because he's so used to the NFL and how it moves, how it operates. And I'm interested to see, like, it's going to recruit itself. He's going to be able to recruit himself as far as, this is what I've done as a head coach in the NFL. Why not dip my toe into college to see how it all operates and kind of get, like I said, kind of be in a little bit of the forefront of, okay, this is where this model is going. This is where college football is starting to trend towards. I've had a lot of success at the highest level. Now y'all are going to see how this thing really operates business-wise and football-wise. Because I find it difficult to believe that, if I'm a freshman or a sophomore and I go in there and I start having discussions about NIL with Bill Belichick, he may tell me to pack my blank and leave. Like, it's going to be very direct, and he's not going to sugarcoat anything.
But see, at the same time, we all saw what the last few years in New England were like. Yeah. Who's going to be his quarterback? Because no offense, you're probably not going to have Tom Brady 2.0.
Yeah. I don't know. The more I kind of just see about, the Bill Belichick thing to North Carolina, the more I'm just like, I don't know how it's going to work. Or I'm not.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he does wind up taking the job, like if there is an agreement there, just because of everything that we've heard. I'm just really curious as to how that first year will go and what that contract looks like. Because again, he is 72. Like, how long do you want him there?
Right. That's another thing too. Is okay, is this just going to be a short-term plan? Because is he going to, like, if you're going to have a fill-in guy for the guy that you potentially want in the future, it's about as best as you're going to get
Right.
as far as, Bill Belichick, a guy that has, just got out of coaching in the NFL for a little bit. I don't know. I just think it's going to be interesting for North Carolina because, again, you look at the age range of these coaches in college football. How can he truly relate? Is he going to, how does he keep a locker room maintained?
It'll be much different than like a Dan Lanning, Kenny
Right.
Dillingham, that sort of level of coach.
Right. Imagine if North Carolina goes to the Mayo Bowl and they win. Like,
Right.
is he going to be like, no, send my offensive coordinator out there, send my defensive coordinator out there. I'm not doing this. I'm just not. But I think he's going to be straight up. Like, he's not going to
sugarcoat anything
at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm interested. I would like to see a press conference with Bill Belichick after a North Carolina loss and see how quick that goes. And I mean, he wasn't too fond of the media when he was in the NFL.
No.
He kind of just gave you how it was.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of just go from there. But it'll be interesting to see. We'll get to more of that on the other side. Continue to look at monitor this transfer portal because there are some names here around the SEC we have to get to. We got some names in the college football playoff that we're going to be talking about as far as hitting the transfer portal, just all over the place, and see where it goes. Continue the conversation. Keep it locked right here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5. Setting the tone. We're 2 weeks away. We are 2 weeks away from Christmas.
Hey, I've been listening to it since the 1st. I've been ready.
And the weather is starting to feel very close to Christmas as well. Yesterday, a lot of rain, a little bit of a warmer day than today will be a cold one. It will be a cold one. Merry Christmas, everybody. If we don't get a chance to tell you between now and Christmas, Merry Christmas to you and your family. Welcome back into Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Damian Mitchell alongside Molly Wood Robinson here this morning, 6:16 on December the 11th. As we continue in college football, we've got a lot of news, especially with the transfer portal now, especially here in the SEC. Of course, we know Jackson Arnold, quarterback from Oklahoma, hit the transfer portal. He is set to visit Auburn this weekend. Interested to see how they will treat him on the plains. I think that, if you watch Jackson Arnold, you've seen some highs, you've seen some lows. You saw him, get benched earlier in the season. I feel like it was mostly mental for him. And they insert Michael Hawkins Jr. Michael Hawkins Jr. then struggled, and Jackson Arnold got back in there. He did knock off Alabama. Didn't have to throw it too much. He actually used a lot of his legs in that win over Alabama in November. But I think that's an interesting that'd be an interesting fit. I would like to, if you're Auburn, I would say tread lightly, because again, you've seen him being kind of a head case a little bit because of some of the things that he did on the football field, and especially with some of the turnovers that he made. But I think overall, athletically, he would be a nice fit for what Hugh Freeze would like to do offensively. But again, if you've had Peyton Thorne for 2 years, so you kind of just...
Yeah, I would tread lightly.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just send him a text message, send him a thank you card for being there this weekend, and have a good time. Like, just show him a good time. Also, some other news in the transfer portal. Quarterback for SMU, Preston Stone, is set to hit the transfer portal, but he is going to stay through the college football playoff run. He made the announcement yesterday that he would explore his options in the transfer portal. Of course, we saw him also be benched this season for Kevin Jennings, who eventually ended up taking SMU to the college football playoff. And, Preston Stone, I don't think he's, bad.
No, he's not bad.
I don't think he's, necessarily a bad quarterback. It's just interested to see where he goes and where he lands. Also, Mississippi State quarterback Martin Van Buren hit the transfer portal. Blake Shapen announced that he was returning in 2025. But Martin Van Buren, a very raw athlete, kind of thrust into a situation with Blake Shapen's injury this season. I think he's a project. He's a guy that's probably, wherever he is, it's going to take a little bit of time. But if you've watched, and again, Mississippi State struggled this season, kind of just, the first year under Jeff Lebby. But if there's anybody that I would believe that could fix the quarterback situation, it would be Jeff Lebby. He's going to come in very well coached. I think
absolutely.
I think it'll be interesting to see what system he goes into, because I do think the talent is there. It's just, okay, how can we pull it all out? Because you saw some plays that he was able to make there for Mississippi State when his number was called. And it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. North Texas transfer quarterback Chandler Morris, who's on his, I think, fourth school, Oklahoma. He went somewhere after Oklahoma. Where did he go? But anyway, I know he ended up at North Texas last season, played a lot. Was he in SMU?
TCU.
TCU. I knew it was one of them. TCU. So now he's
big Texas guy.
Yeah. So he's on the move again. He will be visiting Oklahoma State this weekend as well. So we'll continue to monitor that in the transfer portal. How about Barry Odom, head coach of UNLV? He is now the head coach of Purdue.
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I like Barry Odom. I like Coach Odom. I think when he was at Mizzou, he at least had him contending. He was there. He has a very distinct way of the game. Like, I think he's very kind of old school in a way, but he does modernize it enough to keep his guys around and keep them, motivated and ready to play. Because
right.
he was at UNLV and had them winning.
No, I think he'll be a good fit at Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a rough year. I'm not gonna lie. They were arguably one of the worst. They were probably the worst Power 4 team, one of the worst teams in all of FBS. So change was needed, but I'm happy for Barry Odom, and I'm happy for Purdue as well.
Absolutely. Some more coaching changes in the SEC front as well. South Carolina is set to name a former University of Alabama head coach years and years ago, one Mike Shula. He was already on the staff. Now he just gets the promotion to be the offensive coordinator after Dowell Loggins left to be the head coach at Appalachian State. So it's it's the season of change. It's the season of change. And also, if you didn't hear yesterday that Robbie Ashford, Red Zone Robbie, that we know him as here at when he was here at Auburn, he has entered the transfer portal as well. So this will be his 4th school wherever he lands. And again, I don't want to keep going back to what we said yesterday. Sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and realize maybe it's me. Hey, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
It's me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Appreciate you. You know, hey, when you stay ready, you never have to get ready. 205-834-9450. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's talk to our buddy Melvin. Wants to talk some ball with us this morning. What's going on this morning, Melvin?
Oh, good morning, guys. It's just cold, man. You know, I'm a truck driver. I'm just getting off, but what a breath of fresh air, man. Molly being in this morning. You know, I'm a big Molly fan, so. But hey, look, I got a 2-part question though. I got one for Molly, got one for you, Dan.
Okay.
Molly, I want to know from you. Are you good with the job that Matt Rule has done so far? And Damien, your question, I would like to know: do you think Gunnar Stockton can win a championship for Georgia, or do they need Carson Beck? But I just hang up and listen to both of those answers to both of those questions.
Thanks, all right, we got you, Melvin. Molly,
thank you, Melvin.
Yeah, you go ahead about Matt Rule.
Yeah, I think Matt Rule's done a good job at Nebraska because, and I kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday when we talked about Scott Frost going back to UCF. It's a shame it didn't work, but when Matt Rule came in, it was about kind of changing the mentality of the program and honestly going to a bowl game. I mean, we've been in an 8-year bowl drought up until this year. And, some people see a 6-6 year kind of more so as a failure personally. And I think I have the same sentiment as a lot of other Nebraska fans. We see this as a success because this was the first goal to get to when Matt Rule came to the program. And I know a lot of SEC fans are probably sitting here laughing like, oh, well, bowl game, that should be the bare minimum. Well, when you spend a few years at Nebraska and your ceiling is 3-9, 4-8, you're going to take a bowl game whenever
right.
you can get them. Now, I will say, I think next year it will be a little higher because it's still those 1-score losses. It's the same thing from the Frost era, too, and it's translated over to Matt Rule. It's those close games you have to figure out how to win in crunch time. And I think once Nebraska can kind of get past that threshold, we'll be in for a lot of success.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you 100%. I think Matt Rule, especially when you see some of the clips that is trending toward on social media of just how he goes about it. He's very, very upfront.
He's just a football guy.
Exactly. He knows ball and the way he can pull it out of you. And also, you got to think with Dylan Raiola starting a true freshman.
People forget he's like 19.
He's a child.
He's a baby.
He is a baby, and I think that he's going to continue to grow with Matt Rule as well. And
I think so too.
I think that for Nebraska, to your point, not even having sniffed a bowl game for so long and finally getting into the bowl game, which y'all will be playing Boston College in the Pinstripe Bowl, I think you're trending in the right direction.
I have faith in the future. I have faith in Dylan Raiola. I really do. I mean, obviously there were some freshman mistakes that he made this year, but he just, you got to get those out of your system. I think the future's bright.
That I do agree with you. And going to his other question about Gunnar Stockton being the quarterback. And I will say this now for Gunnar, coming into the SEC title game, he didn't look nervous. He didn't look wavered. Yeah, he threw an interception, but I think as far as control of the offense, as long as you can find ways to just get the ball to the playmakers that you have, I don't think that, at least I don't believe that they're going to, Mike Bobo is going to put all the pressure on Gunnar Stockton to go out there and throw it all over the yard. They won't completely
fall off either.
Right. Yeah. And I think that what you saw with Georgia, with Trevor Etienne being healthy, again, is the fact that, okay, they're at least trying to run the football. Yeah. They're making a point to saying, you know what, we're not going to sit here and ask him to stand in the pocket and make every single throw. It's okay, let's balance this thing out with some runs here. I think Gunnar Stockton with his legs, he showed you how tough he was. I mean, the helmet gets knocked off. All he does is put the helmet back on and say, hey, we good to go. Mm-hmm. And I think he's tough. I think that he's not going to sit back and try to carve everything up like Carson Beck would. But I think as far as physicality, toughness, and just his mentality as the quarterback, and when you look at the path that Georgia has as well, okay, so maybe Indiana, Notre Dame, they make that jump. Whoever wins that ball game, that'll be your first game in the Sugar Bowl. I think even with Gunnar Stockton, you can still beat both Indiana and Notre Dame.
I would think so, too.
Yeah, and then, of course, with the path that you have the winner between SMU, Penn State, taking on Boise State, granted, that may be a fist fight game if Boise State advances. You might not ask him to throw the ball, except for maybe 15 times that ball game. We'll just play game control, but ground and pound, solid on defensive side of the ball, and just, make it a fist fight. Not ask Gunnar Stockton to do everything. So I do think that he could potentially lead Georgia to a national title.
And how old is he?
I think this is year 3 for
I can't remember
him?
how long he's been with the program.
I think him and Vandergrift came in at the same time.
Okay.
Him and Vandergrift came in at the same time. Mm-hmm. So we'll continue the conversation. Let's go to Don this morning. Wants to talk some ball with us. What's going on, Don?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hello, Molly.
She's on the phone right now.
Okay. But, I'm on the transfer portal day. We got a quarterback visiting today from the kid from Duke, Malik Murphy's visiting us today. What would you rather have, Murphy, or would you guys? What would y'all think, Arnold or Murphy?
I would go Malik Murphy, but I think Jackson Arnold. The jury's still out on him because I don't think he's as bad as he performed in certain situations this year. And I think the system just has to work for him because, again, he's kind of in the mold of he's more of a runner than I gave him credit for. And when they asked him to run the football, he did just fine. And I think for the RPO system that Hugh Freeze runs, as long as he just doesn't make dumb throws and dumb mistakes, it could work. But I do think Malik Murphy, if you saw what he did for Duke this past season, having them win in 9 games, I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He did go 9-3 today, but hey, didn't he originally start at Texas?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he was at Texas, and when Quinn Ewers got hurt a couple years ago, he stepped in and made a few starts there at Texas.
Okay, well, we think we got a chance with him. I think it's between us and Miami for him, and I think would Ladd be coaching Jackson Arnold before? I mean, everybody thinks that Arnold's going to go to Mississippi State, and that might be the reason that Van Buren left.
Yeah, I think so too. And with Lebby having already had a relationship with Jackson Arnold, to me, that would be the ideal fit. And if he can beat out Blake Shapen, I think Mississippi State does make an improvement at quarterback.
Okay. All right, my friends. Well, thank y'all very much, and talk to y'all soon.
Absolutely, Don. Good to hear from you, brother. Let's go to Larry on the phone lines. I know he's on the road. What's going on this morning, Larry?
Hey, guys, enjoy the show always. Got a couple of question or two, but my point or an opinion, of course, I'm a big Bammer, and hey, I can live with the fact of what happened with our school, but I just, with all due respect, Georgia's got a heck of a football team, but I just don't see them winning it with a second string. The young man, what is his name, Gunnar what?
Stockton.
Yes, I mean, he's got all the tools, but I just don't see him on the big stage winning it for Georgia, and some very good defenses. I think will give him problems, but with all due respect, Damien, I think Tennessee's going to shock the world. I mean,
hey.
I really do because you got to. I mean, I know they go to Ohio State, and I think they can win that game. But I mean, seriously, Damien, who has Oregon played? I mean, they barely beat Wisconsin up there, did they not?
Yeah. I mean, they beat Ohio State. So, I mean, that's something to hang your hat on.
The last play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think I think Ohio State's a very good football team, but I don't think they're a great team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they've got a decent quarterback, but I really do. I mean, Georgia better watch out for Notre Dame. I'm telling you, Notre Dame's a solid football team too. But that's just my opinion, guys, and enjoy listening to your show every day while I'm on the road. Take care, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, Larry, we appreciate you. Yeah, I agree with him. I think Tennessee, the biggest thing for Tennessee is I haven't seen Nico take over like the Hendon Hooker year for Tennessee. I think that he's going to have to make grown man throws and grown man plays. And he's been very inconsistent. I think, running the football, they're going to be fine. I think Dylan Sampson is going to be, he's not going to, lose a step here as, the playoffs start. I think he's been doing exactly what he needs to do. And I think their defense, unlike years past, they can hang their hat of saying, we're going to play sound on defense. We're going to be able to make plays all over the field. And I think they're going to be a mismatch. I think they're going to be a tough out nonetheless, whether they get past Ohio State and even with Oregon. I agree with you. I agree with him. I think Oregon is the most flawed number one team that we have, but they've handled their business week in and week out. So you can't really knock them because, again, they're the only undefeated team in college football right now.
But there really isn't this year, I feel like, in college football, like a dominant team, unlike what we've seen most other years.
Yeah, and I'm like to your point even yesterday about just there's not going to be any representation from the SEC for the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and we just thought that they just plug and play, like they're good to go. But I'm interested to see what Oregon can do. But you got to look at Oregon too. That Dylan Gabriel, it seems like he's starting to gel well offensively, of just knowing exactly what to do. He's been very smart with the football, been extremely tough, and those playmakers that they have. And I think defensively, they're fast, they're twitchy. They may not be as big as some other teams, but they've gone out and they've handled their business week in and week out, so we can't really knock them for that. We'll take a look at the college football playoff, take a look at some bowl games as well as we're entering bowl season. Continue to monitor the transfer portal and take your calls and text messages, 205-834-9450. Keep it locked right here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5. .635 here on Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Damian Mitchell alongside Molly Robinson, having some fun, just taking a look at the transfer portal, taking a look at the landscape of college football right now as we enter into postseason play with bowl games. And of course, bowl season gets started this Saturday with the Celebration Bowl. Jackson State taking on South Carolina State there in the Cricket Celebration Bowl at noon on ABC from Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. And then we start full-blown game weeks next week with and also Saturday, South Alabama taking on Western Michigan. And then next Tuesday, Memphis versus West Virginia in the Coffee Frisco Bowl, the Boca Raton Bowl with Western Kentucky and James Madison, Artisport LA Bowl with Cal and UNLV, and a host of other ones. We also get the first SEC school participating in a bowl game with the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. That will be next Friday with Tulane taking on the Florida Gators. Didn't think that we'd see Florida in this position anyway, but they are here. They'll be taking on the Tulane Green Wave from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida at 3:30 on ESPN. 205-834-9450. Just taking a look at the Jocks text line. Somebody brings up a point. He says Oregon has beaten 3 teams in the playoffs. You guys can't be serious. No, listen, we're giving them their credit. It's just they haven't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think they're the most dominant team.
I don't think anyone's dominant, to be quite honest.
Yeah, like they have the number 1 spot because they haven't been beaten. They've gone out and handled their business.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think now, if the biggest thing for Oregon is, can you do this 3 times in a row? Right. That's the biggest thing. And I mean, they're talented enough to do it, which I'm not opposed. I mean, it wouldn't be far-fetched if somebody said Oregon wins the national championship. I wouldn't be surprised.
I would not be shocked either.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, it's theirs to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, that I do agree with you on. And, I mean, for Georgia, you have some question marks if Carson Beck is actually going to play. If Gunnar Stockton is the answer moving forward, you're going to rock with Gunnar. Boise State is Ashton Jeanty for real. Can he carry you to a national title? I think all these teams, every team in the college football playoff right now, I think legitimately you can make an argument for could win the national title. I think Arizona State, if Cam Scatterboo, if he continues to run the football, I think Arizona State, when I watched the game against Iowa State, you look at Iowa State, they're not as dominant. They're not as physically impressive, but Arizona State went out there and rolled them. They handled their business. And you look at Ohio State and Tennessee, 2 teams that, I mean, it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that Ohio State could catch heat at the right time, with them having the playoff success they've had over years past. I mean, Clemson, they found a way to get in. He's worked his magic in the college football playoff in the 4-team era. We've seen him going out and beat Alabama, absolutely blow them out in the national championship game a few years ago there with Trevor Lawrence. Texas, we know what Texas has. SMU, it could be just a team of destiny. Could just be the team of destiny under Rhett Lashley. Penn State, they would probably be last as far as my confidence points of getting it done because of James Franklin, and he hasn't really won the big game since he's been the head coach of Penn State, so I probably wouldn't have the most confidence in them. Indiana, another team that nobody thought that Indiana would be in this position. I couldn't tell you anything about Indiana except going into the season. But Kurt Signetti said, hold my White Claw, big dog. Like you gonna know exactly who we are. And Indiana goes out and they lose just 1 game to Ohio State, but they've handled their business.
11 Windiana.
Yeah.
11 Windiana.
11 Windiana.
Mm-hmm. Damon didn't like that one.
It's all good. You could have left that one in the draft, but I see where your heart's at. Your heart's in the right place, though.
Thank you.
Your heart's in the right place. And Notre Dame, I think when you look at Notre Dame, because we all have these preconceived notions of, it's the same old Notre Dame. They get into the playoff, they're going to throw up on themselves. If you watch this Notre Dame team this year specifically, again, you can look at their schedule and say they ain't really, matched up with anybody. They hadn't really played nobody, which is fair. Mm-hmm. They lost to Northern Illinois. They got a wake-up call, but you go back and watch how they handled Texas A&M. Army, exactly. Yeah. Army, Navy, the teams that were catching heat at the right time. They were going in these games undefeated, 1 loss, and Notre Dame handled their business. They went against the triple option and absolutely shut it down. But I think defensively for Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman, that it's a perfect marriage. Like they are physical.
Absolutely.
They are extremely physical defensively. And, you can poke holes at just about every team of saying, where they have some flaws, where they have some weaknesses. But I do think this 12-team playoff could potentially have some upsets too. Because, going back to SMU, all they needed was a chance. All they needed was a chance to get in. And now that they're in, they match up with Penn State. And like I said, James Franklin has shown he can blow it in situations like this. So don't be surprised if you see SMU and Boise State there in the Fiesta Bowl. But who knows? It's going to be a fun ride. 205-834-9450. Let's continue on the phone lines. Let's go to our buddy Bennett this morning. Wants to talk some ball. What's going on this morning, Bennett?
Hey, everybody. So I want to talk a bit about the Auburn transfer portal. So I know we've had a lot of talk recently about getting a lot of quarterbacks, whether it's Jackson Arnold, Miller Moss, or maybe even Cade Klubnik. Personally, I don't really want any of them. I know there's that Tulane quarterback that I think might be transferring that I've seen. I kind of liked how his play style. But with the three of Miller Moss, Jackson Arnold, and Cade Klubnik maybe, but Cade Klubnik almost makes me seem. I feel like he's like kind of a fraud. Like I feel like he hadn't played the best, and the rest of his team has found a way to carry him to a victory. And I feel like he won't be able to do anything, especially when we have Deuce Knight and Walker White as new and upstarting quarterbacks at Auburn. And so, like, I feel like I only want one quarterback through the transfer portal. And really, also, like I said, Jackson Arnold, he got benched midway through the season, and then Miller Moss was like not really able to lead USC to do anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a bunch of people are hyping them up, but I don't really know if they're that good in the end of the day.
Hey, Bennett, we appreciate you, man. And I agree with him on a lot of those guys, especially Miller Moss. I don't know what the intrigue of Miller Moss is. I really don't. I mean, if you can't make it work with Lincoln Riley, who has been the offensive whisperer, who's been the quarterback whisperer for all these years, I find it difficult that, adjusting to Hugh Freeze and that system of offense, which again, I mean, you're surrounded by a lot more talent if you do hit the transfer portal and land in Auburn. But I don't know if Miller Moss is that guy to truly just take them over the top. But again, hey, who knows? Who knows? I'm not sure, but I don't know where they're hearing this Cade Klubnik stuff though. I haven't seen anything or heard anything as far as Cade Klubnik looking to get into the transfer portal. I mean, his team is in the college football playoff, and I don't think that to me, it would be dumb for him to leave Clemson. You have a legacy there, and you find yourself in the college football playoff. Well, Dabo's shown that he can still win ball games with you at the quarterback position. I just don't know where I don't know where the Cade Klubnik stuff comes from. I really don't.
I have not heard that until Don brought it up yesterday.
Right.
Like, genuinely.
I have not heard anything about Cade Klubnik in the transfer portal. And to me, wouldn't be the smartest of moves, but I mean, who knows in this situation. Let's continue on the phone lines. Is this AM? AM? Okay, let's go to AM on the phone lines. What's going on, AM?
Well, y'all already just spoke what I wanted to talk about.
Which part?
The Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, they have a chance, man.
Now, hear what I'm saying. I'm a Southerner. I'm an Auburn fan, but I got Georgia. But you remove Georgia. Who else in that category that you think can run the table?
Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State. Those would be the next ones I have. You could really make an argument about for.
You said Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And they play Clemson.
Right.
Who's the best coach in this field right now out of Dabo and Georgia coach?
Out of Kirby Smart and Dabo Swinney?
That's it.
I would take Kirby. I'd take Kirby.
I'd take Kirby.
I know
as well.
you'll take him, but have not Dabo been there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but you messed up my whole answer. My question. Because my question was, outside of the SEC teams, who is the next team up?
Yeah, I'd probably say Clemson. And
I was taking Clemson because of Dabo.
Yeah.
His experience.
Mm-hmm. He's won it. He has shown that he can get it done. No matter how many odds are stacked against him, he's found a way to win before. But hey, I mean, who knows? He could pull off an upset there in the first round against Texas.
Look, if he get past that game, I'm gonna ride the wave with him.
Yeah, I mean, their path will be a lot. I mean, they'll match up with Arizona State in the next round. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's far fetched at all.
But y'all messed up because y'all was talking on the next, and I was like, okay, because I have been listening to this show, and I just wanted to chime in on that.
Okay, yeah, we appreciate you, AM. We appreciate you, man. Let's go to Jamie. Wants to talk some playoffs with us. What's going on, Jamie?
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Hey, no complaints today, my brother.
Amen, man. God is good. All right, here's my thing, man. I was hearing Oregon has the toughest road to get to the championship, in my opinion. I think everybody would agree with that. So what's the odds on right now in Vegas on who's to win the championship?
I think it is Oregon. Let me pull it up real quick.
It's hard to believe.
I think it's right now it is Oregon. Yeah, Oregon plus 350.
Wow. I would take that because not take that because here's the deal. Penn State, I look at how they were seated, and I know we've been talking about that, about how we need to relook how we seat the teams.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is if Tennessee and Texas, they're all, if Tennessee, beats Ohio State, they'll be playing Oregon, correct?
Right.
Or no, yeah, okay. And then Texas will have to play. It's just like Penn State to me got the best seeding in the whole thing. I just think that Oregon, in my opinion, Georgia, in my opinion, I think has the best chance of getting to the championship. Even, I just don't think Oregon's going to get there, man. Not with playing, what do you think? I heard a guy say a while ago that, he got kind of offended that y'all was talking about Oregon, and I was thinking, man, there's no way. I just don't see it.
Hey, it's fair, man. It's fair. I think it's worth a discussion, and I get it. I think that Oregon, again, for the number one overall seed, number one team in the nation, they don't just strike you as the best team in college football, which is and I think that's fair. But that's also kind of just saying the entire playoff run, all 12 teams have their flaws, and Oregon's just been able to overcome them this regular season because they haven't lost a football game.
Exactly.
So, kind of goes like that.
I will give them credit, though. They do have the toughest road.
Yeah.
Their path is pretty brutal.
Yeah. They match up with either Ohio State or Tennessee. I think that, and especially if they have to match up with Texas in the semifinals. Yeah. That's just, that's where I think Texas will.
I would agree with that.
I think Texas could. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Crazier things have happened.
Exactly. 205-834-9450. We'll continue with your phone calls here on the back half of Morning JOX. Keep it locked right here on JOX 94.5. 6:51 here on Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. We appreciate our listeners, our texters, 205-834-9450. Damian Mitchell, Molly Robinson here with you for a few more moments as we pass you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning at the top of the hour. We see y'all on the phone lines. Let's get to you before we wrap things up. Let's go to Rob and Helena wants to talk some ball with us this morning. What's going on this morning, Rob?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Molly, that's my favorite Christmas song. Thank you.
Really? I love the Eagles.
Yeah, I know. That was perfect leading into it. Hey, Molly, this may be. You remember a few weeks ago, whenever I hung up, it was on 3-man front, and Landrum accidentally called me Don when we were hanging up. You may or may not remember. I don't know.
I don't know if I remember that.
Damon, I think he might have. Yeah. Well, anyway, yesterday I was hoping maybe you would catch it. When I hung up yesterday, I called him. I called Landrum. Whose place you taking, Dad? What kind of thing was making Conrad?
Yeah, he did catch that.
Landrum Conrad. Yeah, I did that on purpose, and I thought it was funny, but he didn't catch it, and I didn't know if you did either or not.
No, I did not.
One thing, and I'm sure Don will probably agree with this as well. One thing that scares the heck out of me is that Dylan Lundgren, the third-string quarterback, decides he's going to transfer to Auburn because he's the type of quarterback that can make Auburn really good. And that scares me. I don't know if that puts something in. I don't know if anybody's ever thought about that. But if he goes into the portal, Auburn would be crazy not to go after him. That guy, he's a good football player, and he's a good quarterback. He was a 4-star out of Georgia. Georgia wanted him, and he came to Alabama.
A third-string quarterback going to your rival. Out of all these players that are in the transfer portal, I'm not too worried about Dylan Lundgren.
No, I wouldn't be either.
Not too worried about that. Anyway, let's go to Houston, who wants to talk some ball with us. What's going on this morning, Houston?
What's up, man? How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, no complaints this morning, man.
That's right. I was just going to ask, I know we've been talking about the playoffs and stuff. I'm an Auburn fan living in Tuscaloosa, so you can imagine how that is.
Whew, be careful.
How many people to talk ball with. So do you really believe that Auburn is just a quarterback away, or do you believe that there's some more pieces that they really need to go after to be competitive?
I think they're a serviceable quarterback away, and I think you still need to address some things on the offensive line, too. You just got to find 5 that are consistent. They're just consistent play away.
I agree. Yeah, because, Auburn really hasn't signed any 5-star left tackles in my lifetime that I can remember. The offensive line's definitely been pieced together the last 15 years, it seems.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think quarterbacks are really looking at Auburn in the transfer portal because of the question marks at offensive line.
Yeah, I think you got to find some. You got to be able to keep them upright.
That's right, and we've had problems with that for several years.
Absolutely, man. Houston, we appreciate your phone call, man. That Dylan Lundgren thing just really threw me off. Like, what?
I wasn't expecting that either.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. Out of all these names, the third-string quarterback, there's a reason why he's a third-string quarterback. Like, well, who knows? Who knows? I think if you're Dylan Lundgren, if you hit the transfer portal, you just want to play somewhere.
Right.
I don't think you're going to be head and shoulders better than whatever Auburn has right now in that room. But, hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Sweet Jesus. Mac and Q in the morning. They're next.